Hello and welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is Joey Raw Dog Lewandowski.
Got that raw dog in me.
You kind of are the raw dog of the podcasting
Oh
world.
no. Oh no, am I?
No, not at all. If you were one of these, so if you're an everybody wants some character
Yeah.
of the podcasting world, that's a really good question. You got a personality. You're very specific, easy to talk to. You might be the Dale. Dale's a good
Okay.
guy.
I okay.
Like Coma, you're not Coma.
Mm-mm.
No, you're not. You're not like Nesbit. You're not Finnegan. You're not Jay. That's for sure.
No, it's tough. I think you are the Willoughby.
Oh, yes. Oh, I love me some Wyatt Russell. That's me. I'm the
I
guy
will
who's
take
just
a
too
Dale.
old.
I will take a Dale. I think like a second baseman, like that's just I feel like that's a pretty appropriate.
Dale's a good dude.
Yeah.
Like Dale's one of the legends here. And so, hey, before we get too far into this, Joey Lewandowski, promote your shows so we don't do it at the end because I love your
Yes.
shows.
Okay. Every Tuesday, Too Fast, Too Forever, we talk about the Fast and Furious movies and related stuff. We are currently, well, actually, this episode will probably come out in the classic car movies lab, in which you are joining us at some point to talk about Duel from 1971. So if you want to hear Mark talk about Steven Spielberg's Duel, join us on Too Fast, Too Forever every Tuesday. And then every other Thursday, my friend Bob and I do a book club podcast, How to Win the Lottery, where we just go through different books. We move seasons around. I don't know when this is going to come out, so really have no idea what to do, but we've read more than 100 books for the show. So if you want to go check out some kind of like generally more contemporary, more modern literature, How to Win the Lottery. I also do want to promote this movie that we're talking about today because I've wanted to talk about it for forever because it is probably my favorite movie. So this is very exciting to me.
This movie rules.
Thank
And it
you.
only gets better. It's always been great. It's deeper than most people realize. It tackles, it tackles just this team very eloquently and not stereotypically. And if you watch the little moments, you learn a lot from it. And it's a very good film. I don't think it'll ever have the popularity of Dazed and Confused because there's a little something for everyone in this movie, and this one's more laser focused on a specific group, but it's brilliant. So don't let the fact that it's about a bunch of jocks. Like Mark Commode was talking about this. He's like, I went to college and I didn't like any athlete, so I watched this. I'm like, I don't like it. It's like, come on, Mark, you don't like it because you didn't hang out with jocks and you went to college in the UK. Like it was a weird argument, Joey, and I love this movie.
I love this movie. I did not love this movie when I saw it in theaters. I saw it in
Oh,
theaters in Austin, Texas at the Alamo Drafthouse. They were promoting it with some kind of like special beer that was for the movie, and I had one of those beers. It was just like a, very drinkable, crushable 1980s beer. And I was like, this movie's good. And then I watched it again at home and I was like, oh no, I love this movie. And then, the third or fourth time I watched it, I was probably like, oh no, this is maybe my favorite movie. And I think what makes it my favorite movie, because I don't like it's a very hard thing for me to like actually assigning for like what's your 10 favorite movies, like I have no idea, but this to me I think is the most rewatchable movie I can think of. I think it is very comforting and comfortable, and just like in terms of the hangout movie, I like Dazed and Confused. I like this so much more. And then the Before trilogy, I love all three of those, but I've only seen those once. But this just feels like a movie where I don't know that I want to hang out with these guys, but I want to hang out with these characters. You know what I mean? Like it's not
yeah.
like I feel like being in that house is probably sweaty. It's probably kind of fun, but also be like, I gotta get out of here. But in this movie, in this world, the way it's all cobbled together, I love it.
I think it's the most rewatchable of Linklater's films and most other films for a couple reasons. Where Days of Confused, you have Pink being like, I don't know if I want my girlfriend. I don't want to play football, and they're fighting society, and there's all this like there's bullies, and I think it gets a little heavy with Pink not wanting to like buck to authority, and it's very rewatchable, but it also has like bigger themes and just him complaining about things. This movie's just a straight up chill movie.
Hmm.
You're with these guys and just with them for a weekend. There's no like big revelations. It's just this guy showing up to college and his first weekend before school starts. And I love that about it. And you know what though? If you watch it, you learn a lot. And it's really interesting the dynamics between the characters. And it's smarter than a lot of people give it credit for. But a lot of people love it. So I can't say that. But I adore this film. But before we get into it, since you're the host of the Too Fast, Too Forever podcast and you've
Hmm.
watched the Fast and Furious, you're one of two people who have watched the Fast and Furious movies more than me that I know of.
True.
You and Joe too. So if you had to field a catcher, a pitcher, First base, second base, shortstop, third base, right field, center field, left field. Out of Fast and Furious characters, who would they be?
Oh, okay. So a whole lineup. Okay.
Whole lineup. We're talking like
Hmm.
no at bats yet. I just want to hear where you would put people.
Okay. So I think I'm thinking about this in a different. I'm probably thinking about this in the wrong way, but I'm trying to figure out where Dom should go. And I feel like Dom is obviously the leader of the family. My eyes are closed. People, this is an audio medium, but my eyes are closed. I think Dom would be probably like a catcher
Yeah, yeah.
because I think he is like traditionally in the olden days there'd be like a player coach where they would be a catcher or like a lot of catchers who are not necessarily the best players also become like the best coaches. Like Joe Torre was like a not a failed catcher, but like not an all-star catcher and became, one of the best coaches of all time for the Yankees. I would say Dom is the catcher. I
Yes.
would say I can see Mia at like second base, just sort of flitting around out there. I think Brian is either the shortstop or the center fielder because they're traditionally your best athletes.
Oh, I
So I
love
would put him.
this.
Let's put him at shortstop because I think having a nice double play combination of Brian and Mia would be pretty cool. Now, are we talking like the entire franchise? Are we talking
Yeah,
early
all of them,
movies?
all of them. I well, let's whoever you want.
Okay, I'm trying to think
So you have
here.
catcher, you have shortstop, and you have what, second base right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna put Han in like right field because he doesn't give a shit. He's just out
That's
there.
what I
He's just
thought.
like, yeah, right.
Oh, I was gonna say it, but I'm like, this is Joey's job. I'm not doing this, and that was exactly where I thought he would be, right field.
I think he's got to be out there. I think Sean can play like third base. I feel like of all the actors in the franchise, Sean probably like Lucas Black probably played more baseball than most of the people. So I feel like he can be at like a sort of a more difficult position. I'll put him at third base. I will put
Nah,
hmm
I thought about him too.
I'll put
I have a decent shout for first, but I want to hear who you put first.
so I need a first baseman, a center fielder, a left fielder, and a pitcher. I'm
Oh,
gonna put. I mean, I will put Hobbs at first because I feel like you just sort of need like you can kind of hide him at first. I don't know that he's like we were talking. Okay, here's a question for you. We just talked about this on a recent episode we recorded, so I don't know when it came out, but who do you think is faster in the Fastiverse, Dom or Hobbs? Because we think in real life The Rock is in better shape than like Vin is strong, but like I feel like Hobbs is more like or The Rock is more of an athlete. But in universe, do you think Dom Toretto or Lucas Rebecca Hobbs is faster?
well, during that foot chase, Dwayne Johnson catches up to him in Fast
Yeah, in
Five.
five. That's what prompted. I was just like, what do you think? He's just like, ooh, good question.
I Dom Dom doesn't run.
No.
Hobbs. I'm saying Hobbs because in this world, he can also his arms don't rip off when he holds on to a truck and a helicopter.
True.
So he also plays soccer. He's a soccer coach, and I think he probably hits the gym. Remember he's working out in that one.
Hmm.
He works out more than Dom. He drinks less than Dom. I'm going Hobbs.
Okay. Because I think what we decided was that like it feels like Dom can't lose to anybody in anything, so he's like one step faster, but like really he's not. But you know what I mean? Like he's not going to
No.
get caught. I will put Hobbs at first. I'll put Giselle in center field because I feel like
Oh
she's maybe a little bit faster. I'll have Letty on the mound,
yeah.
and I will put in left field.
Oh,
Who have I not used?
Tej Roman,
Tej is not going to be on the field. Roman's not going to be on the field. Roman's in the bullpen. Like they're cracking wise out in the
Ramsey.
bullpen. I think they're just talking shit out
Let's
there.
play some ball. Garden
Uh,
hoser. Let's
I will
see.
put in left
Sookie.
field. I'll put Leon in left field. Give him some shine back from the first movie.
Leon Scrappy. I
Yeah,
think that's actually a really good poll
thank you.
because you could put a baseball jersey on him, be like he looks like a ball player.
Yeah, he's like thin and wiry and kind of like
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a
Okay, so I
that's a.
got
I'm so happy.
Dom catching, Letty pitching, Hobbs at first, Mia at second, Brian at short, Sean at third, Leon in left, Giselle in center, and who did I stick in right? Oh,
Han.
Han. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that rules.
Thank you.
What a great
Who'd you
squad.
have at first? You said
I
you had
was
somebody at
thinking
first.
Letty, but I like her at pitcher
Yeah.
because I think anywhere you put her, you're fine.
Yes.
So like I don't want Statham out there. I don't want Kirby. I mean, maybe Kirby could. She could move. But yeah, I think. I mean, well, Vanessa Kirby. I forget her character's name, but
Hattie.
Hattie. But yeah, I like your squad is better. I like this a lot.
Thank you.
And you put. I'm just happy that you said. I was like, Sean's got to get in there somewhere because he just looks like he plays ball.
Well, I was looking up, I was sending you some text last night. I was just like trying because I was like, so Tyler Hoechlin, who plays
Oh, he's great in this movie.
the presumptive All-American McReynolds, has been drafted back to college, all-star, superstar. Like he looks like a baseball player, right? And I was looking him up because I know that he was Superman in Superman and Lois or whatever that TV show was, because he looks like Superman. But I was like, what else has he been in? And I was just like looking at his wiki, and he played ball. And then he was like, I'm gonna play baseball, I'm not gonna act. And then he got hurt. He's like, well, okay, I'll act, I guess. And seems like a pretty good choice.
Everyone submitted tape that they filmed themselves to Linklater for this movie, but Tyler just turned in ESPN footage, which is
Seriously.
amazing. Yeah, that's what Linklater said. He's like, and then he's like, here's Tyler turning in ESPN footage from a semifinal he played in, which
I
I
mean,
love.
I was also looking because I don't, even though this is my favorite movie, I don't know a lot of characters' names by name. And so I had like the whole like Google list. And what's funny to me is that, like, look, my favorite movie, I love female driven stuff. There's very little female stuff going on here. Like there's not a lot that you can be like, oh, this is a movie that's good for women. I will say, not in this movie's defense, I think the men are objectified almost as much as the women. Like they're just pieces of meat. Like they have no dimensionality either. But every single headshot of every girl in this movie who is just there to make out with one of the guys is just like a stunning, beautiful blonde. Like it's just like these are like they're all just like glamour headshots, which also tells me like how hard it is to get cast in Hollywood or whatever, because like everyone is beautiful. You know what I mean? It's just like these are all just like stunning people. Then I went down like a rabbit hole of like the tall girl, I think Michelle, that like he's like, I'm gonna climb that mountain, that he meets at the bar. She's like a YouTuber that does like Nintendo Switch reaction videos or something. I'm just like, where am I? Like, what am I doing on this list? Anyway, learned a lot, but
And Dora Madison Burr, she pops up in VFW, and she's also in another Joe Bagos film where she's a painter. So she actually had a pretty good
mm,
career after this film. But
well,
I think you
also
I don't want to
one of
dive too much into this because I agree with you. But I mean, you have Willoughby, like he's shown naked. There's like, Jay's jumping off stuff and like his speedo. Like there's so
mhm.
much shirtlessness. I remember a review where the critic, she was talking about how when McReynolds, Tyler Hoechlin, I can't
Heckling, maybe I don't know.
Hecklin, she's like, yeah, he's just wearing this crop tops, and it made me gasp like out loud. But I think, when we first meet Buter, he's just in his underwear. So I think it does do a good job of, maybe they're filmed more naturally and not as like sex objects. But I also think there's a lot of skin at play here,
Yes,
and also too, this movie still has good reviews. It's well reviewed on Letterboxd, it's well reviewed on IMDb, it's well reviewed on Rotten Tomatoes. So, and also Richard Linklater is a thoughtful man,
hmm,
and I don't think there's been any issue with this movie aside from some knee jerk reactions about not liking baseball players. So it's a movie that, we brought that up, but I don't think we need to, right? Because I think this is a movie that is respected and it is good. And I don't, aside from some, like guys being legitimate bros, there's still a lot of interesting dynamics between them. And it's
yes.
not watered down. It's 1980 and they're a baseball team. Like it's not watered down. So,
I when I showed this to Margaret, my fiance, by the time this episode comes out, my wife,
hey,
and I was like, I want you to watch this because it's my favorite movie. I don't think you're gonna like it, because she's like a very artsy kind of girl, and she likes, like we just watched The Color of Pomegranates, and she likes these like visual like feasts. And I'm like, I don't think you're gonna like this, but I want you to watch it. And she really liked it. She's like, I think it's very funny. And she doesn't like baseball. Like I've dragged her to baseball games. I'm just like, here's a hot dog. Just try to have fun. And she like likes being there. But like baseball is in no way her thing. And she liked it. So I think that there is something to say about like his ability to craft characters, even if they're not like fully well developed or like all truly three-dimensional. I think that this something that this movie does really well is just when you think someone is like kind of cool or like figuring out how to like hang or whatever, the entire team takes him down. Like when Jake is making fun of his like other
oh,
freshman teammates, and they're like,
amazing
"What do
scene.
you say?" Like, and they take him down. It's just like it's funny to me to watch these people think that they're like, "Oh, like I'm cooler," and then the herd mentality is just like, "No, you are not. Like no one is cooler than the team. This is what we do. We all bust balls. We're all gonna have a good time here." And I think it's just very fun and very special. And like even if you don't like baseball, even if you don't like bros, even if whatever, I think there is a lot of charm here.
Yeah. You can't just knee jerk watch this, or you can't have like a big latitude of rejection towards it and just already hate it. Like there's a lot, Megan, my wife, this is one of her favorite movies.
Love
If you
that.
ask her one of her favorite movies, I think it's her top 4 on Letterboxd. She goes, "This is one of my favorite movies." So I think I've already talked about this movie with her on the show because she loves this movie. So this is probably 500
Oh,
episodes ago, in another lifetime, 2018, 2019, maybe. So this is one of her favorite films. And you know what's interesting? When you turned in this great list, we've been going through this list that you turned into me, and I really wanted to talk about this, but I didn't know how. And you delivered probably the greatest. I was, hey, should we draft moments or something like a draft because we're baseball players? And you're like, no, I have a better idea. And you submitted this amazing kind of criteria for us. And there's one, two, three, four, five, six. I added a seventh inning stretch. If we have time, we can cover that. But I think instead of us just talking about how much we love this movie and the moments that are great, or just walking through it, because there's a lot of tiny moments that are great, but there's not much narrative meat on the bone. So I like what you submitted. And do you want to jump into it?
so we picked essentially like it's a draft format, but we have six different kind of players or five players and a moment that tie to a baseball game, tie to a baseball team. And each of these things is either a person or like a character in the movie or a moment in the movie that reflects something about a team. Like for instance, like leadoff batter is the moment that really sets the tone for you, what gets things started. It's just like this could be a thing, it could be a person, it could be a moment. I have three different
So do
choices for
I.
this. I have multiple choices for most of these. I want to hear yours first, though.
Okay. So I wanted to start off with Dale being like, you're like a lost lamb, just being really cool to
Hmm.
our boy Jake and helping him find his room. Then I have the scene. This might have come first, but I love the scene when McReynolds is talking to Roper and he's like, man, I hate Nez. And then Roper goes, I love Nez. And then McReynolds goes, well, I like him too. He's just kind of weird. But I decided to go with the what Rapper's Delight scene,
Sure.
specifically at the end when he goes, say what? Because you have this senior in the car, you have Glen Powell in the car, you have I don't know where Dale is exactly, maybe a junior, and then you have two freshmen coming in who are in the car together. They're all going to go drink. They're all going to go to happy hour, have a good time, and they're just singing Rapper's Delight. And I really enjoyed the scene. And it's like these seniors are looking after the freshmen. They're all going out together. And it's funny and it's a good scene. And I think everyone in the theater dug it. And every time I see it, it just makes me happy. And the way they're singing it and just crushing it. And it's what like it's in the first few minutes, but I'm telling you, like when that scene hits, you're all in. And I think even after a couple of moments I really liked with the waterbed and like Willoughby doing the little butt slap, I think this moment really sets the tone
I
for
was
me.
looking on IMDb through for a specific quote or like seeing what quotes were there, and for some reason, or maybe not for some reason, like I know what the reason is. Someone transcribed that entire Rapper's Delight into the IMDb quotes, and it's like you're just writing down lyrics, but you're saying like who said it's just like it was very like specific, like people love that moment, but I'm like you don't need to transcribe like that's not a quote from the movie. It's lyrics to a song. But anyway, I digress.
I always find the
Um,
transcript of the movie and then I find all the cool quotes that I like and I copy and paste them.
That's good. I mean, we have that for the Fast and Furious movies because we watch those minute by minute. But like one of my best days of my life here, Ness, until tomorrow. Like we'll get to that quote. Like I love that. Just like every day in McGrail's life is like the best day of his life because when you look like him and play like him, like why would it not be? Okay, my three are all way earlier than yours because even though the Rapper's Delight is like maybe 12 minutes into the movie. First up, you see the Annapurna Pictures logo, and I'm just like, oh, I'm on board. Like, is that like that carries weight? Like, I love A24. I'm an A24 sicko stan, whatever. But they make so many movies that a lot of them don't hit. But for me, Annapurna is really close to pristine in terms of like I see that I'm like, oh, there's like Megan Ellison, at least at this time, and her team knew what they were doing. And like this is so there's that. Kicking off with My Sharona then, like if you're actually into the movie, like
Yeah.
that just is like, okay, we know what we are. We know when we are, where we are. Like you see the 8 track on in the car, like it's beautiful. But I think for me, if we're getting into like the actual like character moments, when Jake gets to the house and shakes McReynolds' hand, and he goes pitcher, and he just like wipes it on his shirt, like, oh, don't like that
Yeah, that was great.
tells me everything I need to know. Just like they're going to coexist. They might not be friends, but that's what being a team is all about, right? It's like you have to love these guys, even if you don't love these guys. And just the whole don't get your pitcher germs on me. I'm going to take you deep, no hard feelings, whatever. Like, I love that. That was my leadoff batter.
Oh, it's so good. And Guzman's great in that moment as well. Like he's just I think that guy Ryan Guzman is Roper. He's so good.
Hmm.
Like he can
Hmm.
actually hang with McReynolds.
Yeah.
And I really do love it when he goes, I love Nez. And then McReynolds like, yeah, okay, I like Nez too, but he's a weirdo. Like he's like everyone said that the left-handed pitchers are always weirdos, which I kind of love. Even people who played baseball, Tyler and Richard were talking about that during a Q&A. I went on some bike rides and did a bunch of lawn work, and I listened to interviews and Q&As with Linklater and the cast. And Tyler and because he played ball, and so did Richard Linklater. He had a baseball scholarship. Both of them were like left-handed pitchers, man. They're weird. So I like that. I like that they kind of talk about pitchers and how they're kind of odd, and I dig it. Yeah, that's a really good scene. That's a good
I love it.
moment. All right. Cleanup hitter?
Power bat, heavy hitter, favorite moment in the film. We're doing a thing for the wedding, which I will say now because this will be out after the fact, but Margaret and I kept a list of every movie that we watched together, and I'm editing a video of some of them, but she made like the takeaway for the wedding is like a zine. Like she made like it's a 200-page thing that's just like pictures. And so every movie that we saw together has a picture in there. And the picture from this movie is from my favorite scene. It was the scene that I quoted before, one of the best days of my life here, Ness, until tomorrow. It's McReynolds with the axe hitting
Oh
baseballs.
yeah.
No one has ever looked cooler than that
Never.
because he
Yeah.
does it. And they even in the movie are just like, do you know how strong you have to be to do that? And then they do it again, and they just like in slow motion, and then just cut to a club where they're dancing. It's just like, that is so cool. Like, that is to me the moment of the movie where you just see like this guy is like a golden god. And whether he makes the pros or not, like he is just like a class above everybody else there, but also just one of the guys. And everyone looks on in awe at just this cool guy doing a cool thing that we will never see again.
Triple or nothing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a terrible bet.
Mm-hmm.
A terrible bet. And like he just looks awesome. You're really right. I mean, Tyler just looks amazing in this role. And when he just drills that thing, and what's funny? He's part of my favorite moment in the film as well.
Okay.
He has a role in my cleanup hitter moment, the power
Which
bat.
is?
So there's this scene where the pitcher played by, I keep forgetting his name. Oh, Jay Niles. He's a total oddball, raw dog.
The guy from Detroit.
Yeah,
Yes.
he
Mm-hmm. The
loves
transfer.
he loves his orange juice and screwdrivers. He literally tells women he's raw dog. He's a really odd guy. Which they said there's always a guy with that. Linklater said there's always a guy with that energy on a team whose just energy is off from the entire team, and just like everyone kind of it gets along with him. There's one guy who's just in another planet. But they have this argument, and good old McReynolds takes him long, kind of makes him look silly. But also Niles, it was batting practice, and he was just going hard. And so moments go by where we get to a scene later up where Niles walks up to McReynolds. He kind of sheepishly, so Niles is this transfer guy, Reynolds is a senior, the stud of the team, and he walks up to him, and Niles walks up to McReynolds, who just hit a homer off him, and goes, "Good hit."
Mm-hmm.
And then McReynolds goes, "We're cool." And then Niles goes to walk away, but he kind of takes a step back and does a little hit with his glove on McReynolds' butt. And then McReynolds just laughs. He just smiles. And then Niles goes off and does his thing. But it's such a small moment, but it's also it's what makes these guys human. Like these guys
Mm-hmm.
don't need character development. Not everybody needs to learn something after this weekend. We learn a lot about them in tiny moments like this. So you have to watch it. But I love that, he doesn't apologize, but he basically does apologize. Hey, good hit. And then McReynolds sees this and he's a good leader. He goes, "We're cool. Like you did that. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
It took something for you to do that." And then the stupid little butt smack, which must have been improvised. And then McReynolds just smiles. Like
Yep.
I think McReynolds, he doesn't like pitchers. He's definitely like the alpha of the team, but he does that scene really well. And I think after that, he's fine with Niles. He may not like him, but he can peacefully coexist with the guy because of that. And that's just such a great moment. That's my favorite moment in the film. Just that little bit like, good hit. We're cool.
Well,
Like,
because
it's
I
just
also think what that scene sets up is that earlier in the movie, when they're talking about that practice, right? Like voluntary means mandatory. Like you got to be there. If you don't want to be there, and so in that scene where the coach is introducing the new freshmen, the transfers or whatever, they're like, there's two transfers. There's Willoughby and there's Niles. And Willoughby, at the beginning of that scene, gets kicked off the team because he's 30 and he's just like hanging
yeah.
out in college, just want to have a good time. And so I think McReynolds, as the leader, sees like, okay, we lost one of our transfers supposed to shore up the rotation. We also this other transfer here who is like certifiably a lunatic and like not a guy that I want to hang with, but like we can't lose both. And I feel like I kind of need to like rope him back in. And I feel maybe I'm reading too far into it, but because they have the, he's throwing like 95 or trying to throw 95, trying to like strike McReynolds out. McReynolds takes him deep, and then like he storms off the mound or whatever. And I think McReynolds knows in that moment, I've got to like get this under control because otherwise the team could fall apart and it's literally the first practice of the year. And we don't want to
Mhm.
do that. So I love it. It's a great moment.
It takes something from Niles to apologize like that. It shows that he's not a total caricature, and I like that a lot about him. And I just want to bring up something real quick. One thing people kept bringing up in Q and A's with Linklater, and they're like, "Hey, your movies are kind of light on plot, and they're more heavy on kind of life." And Linklater had this thing where he said he likes creating something that feels like life, and he said that human beings crave plot. But I think he found a really good workaround that a lot of directors haven't figured out. This movie, it doesn't really have a it has a plot. It's just the weekend, but it's easy to understand. So I think you can make a movie like that Linkletter does, like Before Sunset, Before Sunrise, movies like this where they're just heavy on life and feel like life, but they're very easy to understand. And thus you don't need the three act structure. You don't need, most typical things that this movie will include. You can focus on a slice of life because Linkletter knows that these are easily accessible for people. So first weekend at college or with a baseball team, finishing up high school, you meet somebody again, you get married and you have some issues with them. I think he understands how to by not by going light on plot, he understands that he needs to create things that are easy to understand for
Yep.
audiences. And like even Boyhood, there's a plot to that, but also it's a lot of slice of life, but it's also every year. So audiences can easily follow his films, even though they are plot light. And that's the sign of a very smart director who has found a way to like get movies greenlit, but also still embrace art. And I think that's what a lot of directors, if you can get one takeaway from him, it's like you can still pursue art, but there's also you got to get your movies funded. Like you can't, Joe, you got a movie and you're like, hey, Annapurna, I got this movie. It's like I can't explain it. I'm like, well, I'm not gonna give you money. So he understands that his movies, like he said this movie was a spiritual sequel. He said he coined that phrase to Days and Confused. Everyone's like, okay, take the money. So he's able to express what these movies are without delving into the plot, but he makes them easy to follow. And I like that about him. And by doing that, he can create little moments like this that are great because he's not trying to follow this three act structure, if that
Yes,
makes
I agree
sense.
with all that. No, I agree with all that. And as you were describing all of that, I was thinking about the movie that came out this year, last year, whenever, Ephes, which
Oh,
is similar-ish. I did not love, we talked about this briefly via text. I did not love, I think because I love this movie so much, but I feel like Ephes does not do what you're saying as well as this movie does. Like Ephes is like so sort of carefully built around a game, right? Like that game is like this. And this is just like it's the weekend before school starts and like what happens happens. And like it doesn't like nothing in this movie is any consequence. And I think that is to this movie's benefit. That by the end of the weekend, he's gonna be in school, like he's starting the school year, falling asleep in his first class. And there's something special about that. And making it easy to understand, making it easy to relate to, even if you are not a baseball person, the fact that you are somebody who maybe went to school or maybe had friends like this or had a group of friends like this or felt like the new guy somewhere craving community or circle or whatever. I think there's a lot of entry points to this when realistically it could be a very difficult movie to kind of get into if you're like, oh, well, it's a baseball movie set in 1980 in Texas. It's like, well, I don't like baseball. I'm not from Texas and I don't like the 80s. It's like, well, there's a lot of other ways in. So I think what you're saying is beautiful. And I think why this movie works really well. And also, to me, why Ephes didn't work as well. But I do want to watch Ephes again because I feel like I will like that movie more. But I don't know.
it's a great point. Linklater said that he avoided the boring things like baseball and school with this movie, and he just kept it to character dynamics because that's what he's interested in. Whereas the Ephus, you're going through the nine innings and you're going on beyond that. Also, it's a very deliberate, like ambient comedy that you feel more than like it's a very loose structure, and it's meant to be more dreamlike with characters coming in and out. So I think this one's much more accessible. Everybody wants some.
Mm,
I think no, I get, yeah, I think everybody wants them as much. Yeah, it's much more. These are guys. A lot of these guys are just, you know, playing ball on this field for the last time. And so you just gotta you almost have to like immerse yourself in it where you can you can't really hang out with Ephus, but you can hang out with everybody who wants some.
I also think, and not to dunk on Carson Lund,
I
who
do own Ephus and I love that movie. It's top
has
10 of the
worked in a
year.
lot of movies and like shot Christmas Eve and Miller's Point, which I liked, and shot Ham on Rye, which I want to see. But like Linklater's just like one of the best to ever do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's hard to be like, oh, there's like a hangout baseball movie that's not about like, Major League Baseball. Like there's also like Major League is kind of a hangout movie, and that's one of the, best sports movies of all time. So I think it's tough to compare any movie to this movie, but people love Evis, man. Like that was beloved by so many people that I respect. Like you love it. Like a bunch of people I follow on Letterboxd love it. And I was like, I wish that I liked it more, but you know,
I
we're not
love
here to
that
talk about
line.
Ephus.
It's like there's nothing like the sun setting on a fat man stealing second base.
Yeah.
It's a great line.
There is, speaking of that, there is a guy in Major League Baseball this year named Josh Naylor, who is the first player ever over 6 feet and over 230 pounds to steal 20 bases. If you're a fan of fat guys running, not that 230 is like fat, but like if you're a fan of like bigger guys running, we're in a golden era, both in
Oof.
Ephus and Major League Baseball.
I don't want that guy chasing me. That'd be
No.
terrifying. But yeah, Ephus has 3 commentaries, so I can't wait to dive
Ooh.
into that. So hey, Ben. Oh, next category. Since you came up with it, I want you to read them.
Bench Bat is a sort of hidden gem that has purpose but doesn't stand out at first. And for me, I think like the whole movie kind of qualifies for this. Like, I think like any scene, like this is the one that was maybe hardest for me. But I think on further rewatches, I think knowing who Glen Powell is, knowing who Wyatt Russell is, seeing them in other things, loving them in other things, appreciating the characters more in this in retrospect is one of them. I also think you were talking about Jay Niles. We were talking about Jay Niles before. I think when we're at that first bar, when Jake offers to buy the first pitcher, they're talking about Jay Niles like, oh, he throws 95. And we don't know who he is yet. We just know that he's a new guy on the team and like supposedly like the savior of a right arm. And then when we meet him later, like, oh, this is the guy. And so I think it's funny to me to like mythologize this guy who's like, this guy is like, he's nasty. He's from Detroit. He's coming in and he's just like a lunatic. And then also Willoughby, back to him saying, I don't know if it's in when they were smoking weed in that circle or some other time, but he says, you've got to appreciate it while it lasts. He's talking about baseball. You got to appreciate it while it lasts. Knowing later he's going to get busted for like trying to recapture the glory or whatever. And he says, well, boys, here for a good time, not a long time, right? And there's something
Uh,
like setting up, I'm trying to savor this. I hope you savor this too, because we're all going to be done sooner or later. Me, way sooner than you, because I'm not going to even make it through the first practice. But those are all things that I love. Specifically Willoughby, like Wyatt Russell and Glen Powell. I love as actors. And then I thought it was very funny, like looking for this draft pick this time, specifically hearing them talk about Jay Niles as like this great player and being like, oh no, he's crazy though.
yeah, mine involves Jay Niles as well.
Okay.
I was gonna do the knuckle scene, but that gets explained so much that it's not really a hidden gem. I love when he comes on the mound and our buddy catcher, Tyrone Plummer, played by Temple Baker, who's great. Why is there a cat in a refrigerator? Who puts a cat in a refrigerator? Who's this fuck? Like that's my favorite. That's probably the line that
Mm-hmm.
Megan and I quote the
Mm-hmm.
most. But he goes, "Not Jesus Christ, not this psychopath." But I
Yep.
love that moments earlier. That line that Willoughby just dropped. He puts his glove on the mound and he puts a ball on the mound and he just walks away. Jay Niles is a psychopath and he walks up and he just kicks the glove and then he picks up the ball and he throws it into the parking lot. And
Yep.
it kind of explains what they say about baseball in this movie, where you haven't made this team yet. You're not part of the team. They don't look at you as part of the team. And here's this guy who made the symbolic gesture, realizing that his life is kind of messed up. He lied about something, and there's going to be consequences. And and Niles just walks up and kicks the thing and doesn't care. He just
Mm-hmm.
kicks it out of the way and throws the ball. You are out of my you I have played with many people. You are gone from my memory. And I think it's a very funny scene. And just the way he kicks it and throws the ball. Did he throw the ball in the parking lot? Yeah. But I think just that scene is interesting because of how it's symbolic, but then he just kicks the glove off the pitcher's mound and then he keeps going. They just go on without him. And it's an interesting thing in sports and other aspects where someone gets injured or someone leaves and the sport goes on. And maybe I'm reading this into it, but if we're looking for hidden gems that aren't overly explained, this is the one I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to pick.
I think it's a beautiful moment. I think the description, the explanation for it is good too. Because I also think about I don't know. I mean, this I'm sure has much more money, but I was like, you think about like Little League or whatever, where the umpire would bring or coaches would bring like 6 or 8 or 10 baseballs or whatever. But like even at bat where like a couple balls get fouled like literally out of the field into like just like the trees nearby, it's like, well, we gotta like go get those balls because like we're running out. So like when Jay Niles takes a baseball, like throws it out of the stadium, it's like, man, like we only have like 15, and you just throw like what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Like there's I think it's just like we gotta tolerate.
Yeah, he's such a maniac, Jay Niles. I love it. Let's do it right now. I love his reaction. Psychopath. This is batting practice, and he just walks away.
Hmm. Well, that's also
Oh,
the thing. It's just like we're not scrimmaging. That's later. You're just basically getting warmed up here, and he's trying to like impress everyone.
yeah, he's Detroit.
Detroit. Mark, who is your starting pitcher, the actor who brings the heat, maybe pitches a perfect game?
So I went through some things, and I think you might like everyone talks about Glen Powell in this movie, deservedly so. I mean, if two people pop, it's probably him and Tyler. But then I
Yep.
started thinking about Blake Jenner, and a lot is asked of him in this movie. His speech about Sisyphus and rolling up hills, and the "I implore you" scene, like that's really uncomfortable. And just watching him. But then I started thinking, and I started going, you know what? This is a very male driven movie. And halfway through, I mean, we meet this character earlier in the film, but they come back later, maybe halfway through. And it's a tough ask because you're leaving all this camaraderie, partying, drinking, boobs, butts, nudity, bodies, and you're hanging out with Jake and Beverly, played by Zoey Deutch. And she is just so charming in this movie. The movie never drags when she's in it. And like that's a tough ask. So you're partying with these dudes, you're fighting at discos, you're going to country western bars, you're just getting plowed, and you're just riding beds downstairs and trying to think about where to hook up and listening to cool music. And then there's this entire date scene with Zoey Deutch. But she pops so hard in this movie that it takes a really special performance to come in halfway through, take away from the kind of the A plot, and still not drag the movie down because you're so charming. So I'm gonna go with Zoey Deutch.
I had two characters on here, two actors on here, and you named both of them. My first thing was how could it be anybody other than Glen Powell? Because I think that
Yeah,
he's just so
Megan
charismatic,
said
so
that.
charming.
Megan said that too.
I love McReynolds as like this like golden god, but like he's also kind of an asshole. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like he's a sore loser. He he can't lose.
he
Like
broke the paddle.
when he breaks the paddle and he just seems like no fun to be around. And like that's by design, right? Like that's like and like I'm not saying that as an actor, but as a character, just like but Finn is so charming and so like what drives the movie forward, like the onward, outward, and inward,
I was
like the
about to
whole
say
like
that.
from the rip is just like he's the chameleon. He leads the pack. He knows when to fall back a little bit. He propels Jake forward. You were talking specifically about like, Blake Jenner having a lot to carry, but he kind of like pushes him. That conversation when they're at the punk bar, he's just like, are you concerned about the duck feet? The duck feet look good, man. Like, because
I never
in
think.
that moment, I feel Blake Jenner is as the audience surrogate. Like, what are we doing? We were at the disco club, we're at the country bar, we're now at the punk show, and he's just like, we're just having a good time. Like that's all we're doing. And like to the audience is like, what do you care where we are? Aren't you enjoying also hearing the punk cover of 3 Hour Tour, like the Gilligan's Island theme? Like, yeah, maybe. Or just like after sex, he just says, I feel like the Astros are going to make it to the World Series this year. It's just like, what is going on here? I do think Zoey Deutch is great. She is one of my all-time like movie crushes. This, I think, is the first movie I saw her in. She's not given a ton to do, but she balances out the like masculine energy with like a really strong dose of feminine energy and really kind of rounds things. But I also think, my pick goes to Glen Powell, but I do think that even though it's not a starting pitcher, like everyone fills the role.
Brings
Like
it.
everyone knows what they're supposed to do. I don't know a lot of these actors have gone on to do other stuff really after this. Like there's a handful of people who have gone to be successful, but I feel like that's also a testament to like how perfectly cast this is. It's just like they're all great in what they're doing. And even though they are not the number one standout, the movie would not work without like Buter Perkins to be like the kind of country bumpkin, but like that you like, that you don't only make fun of, that he's there, he's like a full character, or anybody, pitchers, catchers, whoever on the team that you appreciate, even if they are not the star of the movie, even if they're not, you've never seen them in another movie, they all contribute in a way.
And listen, Tanner Kalina, I think, is a perfect example of what you said. He plays Alex Brumley. and he's sort of the low key MVP of this movie because he wins the knuckle matchup with who does he beat? The knuckle matchup. He beats oh man, who's playing that he did? Is it Coma? No, is it Coma that he beat? No, Nesbit. He beats
He
Nesbit,
beats Nesbitt. Yeah.
and then I love then Coma comes on is like, come on man, let's go. Like we're doing this. Coma's great. But then I think he's also funny because when they do the thing where they're putting their hands on their chest and they lift their face and go into someone's butt, he's like, "This is the same thing to me a minute ago, man. Like that's just the way it is." And like I love when he strikes out, and then the pitcher's like, "You're making us look bad, man." And when he goes like, "Cheers to the beers," I love that. And he's actually good
Hmm.
at basketball when they're playing that little pickup basketball scene. He's pretty good at it. And also too when good old Glen Powell is trying to get his finger licked with the whipped cream, he just walks up and licks it. Like, he's a funny guy, and I guess in
Yeah.
rehearsal he was supposed to be some hard ass, but then everyone realized that like he just in rehearsal everyone just kind of started making fun of him, but he just rolled with it so charm like effortlessly. People kind of cheers to the beers like shut up, but then he just keeps on going. And I love when Blake gets mad at him. I'm sorry, not Blake, but Jake gets mad at him. He's like, hey, yo, dude, like they just did the same thing to me a second ago. It's fun. Like he actually gets it, and he's not too worried about things. But like they give him a moment with the knuckles, and they give him a moment during the fight scene, and like I think he's a really good MVP character that I like a lot. Yeah, he's
He's
great.
great. I mean, from the rip, he is just like the mustache. Like he's just the punchline, and he just rolls. Like, and you need that kind of person who's like just sort of happy to be there and doesn't mind being the butt of
Yes,
jokes.
yes, that was a great line. Yeah, I love that. And yeah, he works so well. And it just all the casting, whoever cast this is needs an Oscar. Like it once this becomes a category, just give this a retroactive Academy Award.
Hmm. I want to look that up now while we're talking about them. I
Okay.
mean, Linklater, I'm sure, is heavily involved, but there's also like the casting. Let's see here.
Well, so there's no particular roles. They just pick four they wanted, and then they work their way down. Now, the one scene that they should have cut in this movie, and it's not because of the actor, but when Britton, who plays Billy Autry or Buter, when he's pitching, his form is. I'm not a pitcher, but I watch a lot of and his form is horrifying. All they had to do was trim those 4 seconds. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Joey Lewandowski. I love his performance. Billy Autry is great, but that pitching, you could tell that he hadn't pitched much, and that's
Well, that's also an issue that I had with Ephus, where it's like the guys can kind of pitch, but not really. Like, but people in this movie like can play ball.
yeah, exactly. That makes me respect Charlie Sheen more.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that's my one scene in the movie where I'm kind of like, ew, but the rest of it rules. Okay, are we on closing picture?
We're on closing picture, the moment that seals the deal that really brings it all together.
You got it, or you want me to do it?
I think to me, not to go back to the Glen Powell well, but I'm going back to the Glen Powell well. Have you ever noticed whenever we're
Powell?
around
Wait,
baseball,
Powell? Powell?
Powell,
Well,
Powell well, like the well of Glen
Glenn
Powell.
Powell well, because his
Yeah,
last name is Powell.
Powell,
So
the
you're saying
Powell well, the Powell.
Powell well. Sorry, that was a stretch, but I had to, it was a seventh inning stretch, but I had to do it.
Have you ever noticed whenever we're around baseball, all we talk about is pussy? Now we're actually around a few potentially interesting young women. All you talk about is baseball. It's a little fucked up. And then everyone laughing at him and being like, it's a little fucked up. Like them realizing probably he is right that they should be talking to these interesting young women. All they're doing is talking about baseball and how good they are each other is at baseball. And then he makes a point and storms off, and they just make fun of him. Like it's so perfect. Like the whole movie is like we're baseball players looking for women. They're finally around women. Like, oh, let's talk about baseball. Like it's just so
Yeah,
earnest.
that's Megan's favorite moment, by the way. She broke
Love
it
it.
down, and that's her favorite moment because it's a perfect. I love that they make fun of him, but he makes a great point. But they have to bust his balls, right? You can't not bust his balls in that moment.
It's he's right. He's right, but also the way that he is right is not right.
So fucked up. Oh, they just make fun of him. It makes me so happy. And then he gets redemption with the roommate.
Hmm. He's a strong silent type.
Man, he pops in this movie. Powell just pops in this movie.
Before this movie, I had seen him in Scream
Chad, and he's
Queens.
great as that. Yeah.
Chad Radwell is so good. He's so good. it wasn't really until here where I'm like, oh no, he's like a star. Because like on a Ryan Murphy show, like he can make a lot of people shine, but you don't really know if that translates to like, for lack of a better thing, like real stuff. You know what I mean? Where it's
Mm-hmm.
you can act in the Ryan Murphy kind of like the heightened soap opera or whatever, but like it might not translate. But then you're like, oh no, he's a star. Like he's gonna be something, and he is.
So for me, this movie sealed the deal probably 5 minutes in, but I love the
Okay.
end when you just have that really nice morning between Zoey Deutch and Blake Jenner, and
Hmm.
they walk to say goodbye. They do the high five, then the kiss, and she walks away. And I really like that he's watching her, and then she turns around and sees that he's still looking at her, and they wave because like they like each other. You could tell that they, maybe they're jumping into it, but they legit like each other.
Hmm.
But I love it when Dale and Finn are like Jake, Jake. But then they try to get information out of him. He's like, no, I like her. I'm not going to talk about this. And I think my favorite line is, "Don't you have a class?" He's like, I go to class when I say I go to class, and I, and then they just make that whole speech, and it's just hilarious because they're freshmen, they're junior seniors, but I think they like Jake, and I like that Jake doesn't spill the beans. And then I think the deal that ultimately sells it, that my this line that my wife and I quote all the time, is when they're in class and the catcher Tyrone comes in, he goes, "Who's this fuck?" And he's like, "That's our teacher." He's like, "Oh." And like just this is line readings. They're so unpolished, but they're
I also
perfect.
had that. I had that one
Yeah.
down just because don't. It's such a simple thing, like, oh, when this older person walks into class when class is about to start, like that's probably the teacher. But just the who's this fuck? And just like plumber,
Meg,
plum, come on.
Megan and I do that all the time. Who's this fuck? But yeah, I like the camaraderie and the fact that he doesn't like, bro, we went at it. He likes her, and I like that he doesn't spill the beans, and I like that like he's like, shouldn't you go to class? And then they're like, no, like I'll tell we go to class when we go to class. It's just a very good moment, and I think it ends just when class starts, and it's who knows what's gonna happen. And the movie was I already love the movie, but it ends so perfectly for me that it like really seals it. Like, it seals the deal, then it puts it in another freezer quart bag and seals that. You know what I mean? Like it, and then
Hmm.
puts it in the
Hmm.
freezer just to remain good for years and years and years because you'll just forget about it. It's on the bottom. It's always cold, always great, always sealed. So it's always sealed for me. That always seals it for me. And I had to pick that moment because I love it so much.
That's perfect. I do
Okay.
think that like the same thing where you're just like the moment that brings it all together, like could be an opening scene where it's just like, no, I'm gonna enjoy this movie, right? But I was trying to do my due diligence, like what's something at the end or toward the end of the movie, like that's the final party or the beginning of the class, which again, the first class of the year, like there's so much like school doesn't even start when the movie ends, really. You know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah.
something special about that. Do you think Jake and Beverly stay together
Yeah.
forever, for a long time, for a year, for more than 1 year?
Oh, I think they give it a go. Like I
Okay.
think they're good to each other. I mean, who knows where it goes from there, but they legit like each other. And I think they say that to each other. So I think
Because
they're
I do
gonna.
think there is the kind of probably toxic bro on this team who would be like, you're really going to settle down with the first girl you meet on
Oh,
the
they
opening
will.
weekend of
Yeah,
school?
yeah. But I think he's pretty. They're all pretty strong headed, and I don't think Jake's gonna listen to them.
No,
And she's cool.
she is cool.
So yeah, that's my. And I don't like Finn wouldn't do that. I think the major team. I don't think McReynolds even cares. And like I don't know, Jake doesn't seem like an absolute womanizer. So yeah, that's the reading I'm getting from it.
That's good. I also feel like, Blake Jenner has been canceled. Like Melissa Benoist came out and, talked about the domestic violence. He like
Oh
admitted that he
gosh,
did like it's
I didn't
bad.
know that.
Yeah, no, he was married to Melissa Benoist. She like filed like restraining orders against him. They got divorced. She like talked about like this violence and this like emotional and physical abuse. And she's so I do want to note like there's a reason you basically have not seen Blake Jenner since 2020 is because in 2019 a lot of that stuff came out. So
Oh geez. Well, I didn't know that.
I know, sorry to bum you out, but it feels like it's the kind of thing where I'm just like, man, can I not like enjoy this movie anymore? Can I not like upstream color because Shane Carruth's kind of a piece of, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Let's try to separate the art from the artist. I think there's so much in this movie. I also don't particularly like the Jake character. I think he's like important as like the audience surrogate, but like Jake's not what I love about the movie. So I feel like I can sort of dance around, bounce around, and not root for Blake Jenner in this movie.
And also, Upstream Color is a Shane Carruth written, starring, control.
Yeah.
It's everything has his fingerprint on it.
Mm-hmm.
This is a Linklater film. So
Yep.
I think you watch it and you're like, ah, Jake. But
Yep. I know. Sorry to bring it down a little bit, but I also did
I
want
wish I would
like
have known that. But I still think the character's interesting. I mean, listen, the character, let's just talk about the character. He can't be Glen Powell. He can't be McReynolds. He can't be pretty much any of the Willoughby. I think you have to have a surrogate like him, if that makes sense. I don't know if this movie would work if we follow around Tyrone.
right.
So you kind of need this sort of safe surrogate, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez Louise. Damn it.
I know. I'm sorry.
All right, let's do seventh inning then.
Okay. So this is the moment you can go and grab peanuts or beer. And so none of this is stuff that I mind really. Again, keeping in mind this is probably my favorite movie. But I was like, what about this don't I love? And I feel like when the movie sort of strays from the Hangout vibe, that's when I'm just like, I don't know. I think it's funny, but I don't love Jay Niles giving Cheech the stare down the raw dog thing. Like it's just like it's like I loved the first time, second time, whatever, and I'm just like, I kind of don't need this.
Yeah.
It just I think I just have I'm embarrassed for him. You know what I mean? Like it's just like, come on, guy. You got in here, there's no cover, it's free beer, they're giving you free drinks. He flicked the lime because you're being an asshole. Just relax. But that's who he is, right? He's the raw dog.
There's moments like that that you want to get out of there because you're just, I'm glad when the bouncers chucked them out. And then he runs home. Have you ever run home from a bar?
No, no, no.
I have.
That does not surprise me. Complimentary.
Red Bull, vodka, many of them. I just ran home.
I do think there is something to be said that they're like, you're not coming with us to the next bar, and he does not like show up at the next bar. You know what I mean? Like he goes home.
Yeah.
He's just like, I deserve this time out.
But he's like, I'm going to run home because he thinks he's proven something. There's more to Niles than we know. Okay, so I guess the one moment I'm going to say it once again involves Jake, but that whole scene where he starts going, I implore you, when he's like, hey, look at me. Hey, come on, look at me. Hey, look at me, look at me. Like, all right, I beg you. No, I implore you to come to this party because they're just playing him. And he's just like, they're like, nope, nope, nope. And he's like, I want you to come. Like, okay, we're going. So he's like, I wouldn't know how to make it through his world. Like, that scene kind of is uncomfortable. And also when he's just making fun of his buddies, because I like those guys. Like, that's a scene I could leave for because it makes it just, you're like, oh, Jake, you're being an idiot. So I could go do a 17 stretch during that scene.
I think that's fair. What else do I have? I have a couple other little moments. The punk house, like I like that Jake meets a high school friend, but just like nobody else knows him. Like nobody else really wants to be there. And I get that it brings us to the punk show, and that like I like when that guy shows up later at the baseball house party.
Yeah.
But and we get Finn's like, of course we're down. Of course we're gonna go there. Like there's cool moments, but it just feels like, all right, we need a break here. And just like, well, I can, pop out. Like I don't know this guy either.
Yeah. That punk scene. But also I think it highlights the freedom you have once you get to college. So, that first weekend's pretty. So, we talked about this on our shithouse episode where I stayed. I lived with my dad for my first year of college, but my second year of college, I went to this place. I went to Florida State and I stayed at the Players Club. We walked into my apartment, and the guy who like worked at the 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 desk, I guess, with
Hmm.
26, 27-year old, he also stayed there, and he was just ripping a bong as soon as I walked in there, shirtless.
Of
And so
course, of course.
he's shirtless ripping a bong. I walk in, meet my roommates. I have this guy that's like super big. Like I think he was shirtless too. And then I had another guy like coming in from Texas Roadhouse. I had another dude and like his girlfriend come in, and then they were just like, "Yeah, man, we got a big old keg party coming up." And then it was just crazy for a year. And so like you kind of you're like used to this one life, and then you step into this apartment. You're like, what is happening? I was the youngest guy there. They were all seniors, and I was a sophomore. He's like, yeah, I put you in here because you're like a lit major, and that's bullshit. You figured you're just cool. He's like, I figured you're just cool. You don't give a fuck. So I was like, okay, cool. So I lived with all these older guys, and we just like partied, and you like you sort of a you who you like, and then I went to go to this bar called Big Daddy's with him, and I got a job at that bar. And like, you once you go there, you have all this freedom, and it's like, how do you go too crazy? So prior to that, I'd pretty much gone nuts, so I was never too worried about going overboard. But I think when you go there, you can finally be a punk. You're away from your parents. You can live in these houses. You can go to these concerts. You can kind of become more of yourself. But
You can
also, I
find
think
out who
that,
you are.
and
Yeah.
like, freedom hits you like a truck sometimes as well for
Mm-hmm.
kids who didn't have that freedom. So I think by visiting this punk kid and like realizing what he looks like and what he looks like, you kind of it shows what college is. But I don't think it's necessary. But I think it's a nice, like, I think it
I think there can be a way where like he's on the way to a different party and like meets up with him and they just like go to a different party. Like it feels
yeah,
like going in and literally sitting down and like spending maybe 90 seconds. Like it's not a long scene. I'm just like, I don't know.
yeah. No, that makes sense. But yeah, it's I don't know, but there's not I still don't want any of these moments out.
No, that's the
They're
thing. Like
just
they're all moments that I don't mind. It's just that if we have to pick a thing that's like, where would you have to go if you had to go? The other thing, and the only other moment that I have here, and then I want to hear if you have other ones too, and it's a moment that the movie even calls out like this is boring, let's change this up, is the phone date between Jake and Beverly,
oh yeah.
where Beverly's just like, I don't really like talking on the phone. You want to just meet up. And like they go on a date, like it's much better, but it's just like it's supposed to be awkward. I think it is awkward. It's well done in that way. They're getting to know each other, and she's like, hey, I know that you're not a serial killer now. I think let's meet up. But it's just like, okay, this is like a slow down, but also you need that because like you can't just have them meet up because that'd be crazy.
Hmm.
But I do like the movie, just like the movie again is kind of like this is boring. Let's have them meet up and do a date.
Yeah, when a movie calls it out, you can pretty much leave. But I do like Tyrone says something about, yeah, she wants your hog or something stupid like that.
Mm-hmm.
An idiot.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I love this movie. I really do. And even that Blake Jenner stuff aside, that sucks. But it also, there's so many other people that are doing great now that
Yeah.
I think if he directed it, then it'd be,
Right.
yeah. But he's just a small part of a much bigger machine. But still,
I
this
will
movie
also say
rules.
not to defend him or whatever, but try to like quell it a little bit, is that he did like at like he didn't deny everything. He's like, yeah, I apologize. I mean, didn't take back what he did, but
Yeah. I was just looking into this and he said he's been 1 year sober. So maybe
that's
he,
good.
maybe he's on the wagon.
Do you have other moments that are your seventh inning stretch?
No, not really. I love this movie.
It took me until like the fourth or fifth time I think watching this movie to realize that there was a credit scene,
Oh, yeah, at the end.
which like is so perfect and also weird. Like I think genuinely a little weird, but also perfect, where they're just like again lip syncing to or doing their own rap song. And it's just like this is strange, but also it's exactly what the movie what it needs.
Well, it just shows how much these guys love being in the movie and just watching. I don't know. I love watching their little raps and they like. I guess Glen Powell had a 7D and they just shot it, and then Richard's like, "Yo, put it in the movie." Oh, it just you could tell that they were all in on their characters, and I like that.
I think there is something where like especially for people like Tyler Hoechlin, who former baseball player becomes an actor, to be able to star in a baseball movie made by like someone objectively great at what they do, it's like this is heaven. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
and so I think that there's probably like this is not the kind of movie that like everyone would love, but I feel like the kind of people that when you need to, if you want to cast people who look the part, can play baseball and also are actors, man, this is like such a good crossover.
Yeah, it's movies like this are rare. There's like a good synthesis of everything, and it doesn't feel fake because I think Richard Linklater would die before something feels fake. And I think the actors were all in. They loved being part of this. They all lived together for 3 weeks. They were just bunking together and rehearsing. And this is one of those movies where you feel like you just hugged everybody after it was over, and then you make some really good friends, and then you move on. And it wasn't a huge box office smash, but I don't think anybody was expecting this to become a sleeper hit. But I do think I wish it would have done better. But I think its cult has grown over the years, and people like it a lot. So
I'm glad. I'm glad because
yeah,
this is again, I don't know if it's a perfect, I don't know if there's anything that's a perfect movie, but like I love this movie. I love this movie so much.
yeah. But you know what though? I think sometimes the most rewatchable movies, I wouldn't say they're the most perfect. They're like really nice hangout films that
Yep.
that they don't, like, Knight's Tale. there's a scene where he loses his knighthood, and then 3 minutes later, they're like, "Yo, you're back." Or when he and Shannon Sossman break up, she's like, "Yo, do this for me." He's like, "Okay," and then they're back. Like, there's no stakes in that movie, and anything that is a problem is overcome in about 2 minutes. But it's all because of that. And like, hey, we need you to get you to become a knight. 2 minutes later, he's a knight, and so he's jousting. And I think that's what makes it so rewatchable, is there isn't that
Hmm.
weight of a lot of that stuff. Like, I can't watch No Country for Old Men all the time. I can't watch.
Right.
I think of all the before movies I would watch before sunrise, because before sunset he's married, he might be leaving, is he staying, is he going? Let's not even talk about before midnight being rewatchable. I think before sunrise is the one I've watched the most. In college, Megan made me the speech. She had an assignment, so she put the speech and did all the text for it, because I love the monologue in that movie, so she like made me a video with all the texts for it, like popping up on the screen. I forget what it was called, but that's like, because it's just the two falling in love. And I think there's a neat, that's why it's the most rewatchable of
Yep.
it. And I think that's what this movie is.
Well, I think with that movie and this movie, like the stakes are very low, but also in a way could not be higher, right? Where it's like this
Yeah.
has to go right, but also it can go wrong.
And then they just play pinball and walk around. And yeah, that movie was big for me. I love it. I used to read all Ethan Hawke's books. I was obsessed with him for a while. But yeah, this movie rocks, and we did it.
We did it.
Anything else to talk about?
Um, no,
I
I
got
just
thrown
love
with
this
that Blake
movie.
Jenner realization.
I know, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring it down, but I also want to make sure that like if people are listening or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah. No, it's smart to do.
I'm
It's smart
not
to do.
ignoring it. It's just you gotta navigate around it sometimes.
Yeah,
But
I know. But yeah, that
yeah.
my research didn't take me there. But I listened to a lot of interviews and did all that. But I think it was fun learning. I think the best thing about this was learning about Linklater's process through the
Okay.
research of this, and that made me really happy. So yeah, this rocked. And then listen to Too Fast, Too Forever, the podcast.
Thank
Listen
you.
to all our old episodes. I can't wait to see what we do next. And anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you again, as always, for having me.
This is awesome. So for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, for Joey Lewandowski, this is Movies from the Flicks. We'll see you next week.